To enjoy this and other great episodes on Patreon, check out the link in the description and subscribe via the Black Kluge tier for full access to over 100 exclusive episodes. For those of you who would like some QF swag on Teepublic, t-shirts, magnets, mugs, what have you, also click on the link in the description.
Did it surprise you Allison got remarried as quickly as she did?
Yes, I did.
Did that bother you?
No. I was happy for her. But I was a little surprised.
He was saying goodbye to me, and he leaned in for a kiss, and I smiled so big that he literally kissed my teeth.
So I have admitted that I almost had a homosexual experience when I was young.
Yes.
Some guy came on to me. It was really wonderful, actually, but my mother would never tolerate me being gay. You know what I mean?
I got a guy now who's finding out the real names of the occupations of what the people do who bully me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of a fighter, so... it's just interesting when people have their kids on the air.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if your kid was a fuck-up, you just keep them quiet.
I put my kids on the air more, but they want no part of it.
We do another contract here. Well, let's do a 3-hour show. We should be done right now.
Well, you're having this negotiation with me. That's the only problem.
Well, who am I supposed to negotiate with? Fred?
Tell that fat fucking cunt Robin to shut the fuck up. She can't stop mentioning that other fat cunt Butler. They're both fat cunts. They need to die on fire.
I once saw my mother come out of the shower. It traumatized me.
Yeah, I can imagine. She looks like you.
She had some...
Sorry. That just slipped out.
Was you getting into music and guitar and all that stuff? Was that some kind of therapy because you didn't have your father?
Listen, there are people who are at a job too long. They're not into it. They can't admit it to themselves.
A picture of you and her looks like a kidnapping. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
you see, walking around, taking a photo.
This is ridiculous. I was going to look for a Nikki Hilton. But you see, those good-looking rich girls, they don't go for a guy like me because they don't need my money.
Recipe for a perfect date night? Home, dinner, glass of wine, and bed. Right? What'd you say?
Definitely a bottle of wine.
I said earlier I thought it was kind of weird that Jerry still dyes his hair. Like, when your head becomes that big and, whatever.
You've got a little tough to hair.
You think the vanity would go out the window, but no.
I do have issues about people leaving. I want to control everyone in my atmosphere. I am a puppet master, and I want everyone to be a puppet.
But then we had our sex. We went right into this, like even better.
Now, was it different?
It was great because when he was on top of me, I had my hands sticking up, and I was doing my rhythm the whole time.
And she had a very hard orgasm from that.
Because I drive into Manhattan every day and I listen to it, okay? And if you cut out the bitching, it probably would be about an hour broadcast.
You're right. Do you want to know something? Okay.
Welcome, folks, to QF, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm your host, Phil Moore, a.k.a. Jim Fix, and with me is Sam. How are you, my dear?
Hi, everyone. I'm great.
We're doing the latest breakdown, guys, in lieu of any blinds or whatever. We're just going to go straight into it and it's untitled. I haven't thought of a Photoshop yet, but we've got September 5th, 6th, and 11th, I think, but also this summer show that Robin was interviewed by Rasan and Gary. I've got a couple clips from that, and some of them are a bit long form. And the reason why I want to play the Robin thing is because it's exactly what they say. You'd never hear her that much anymore. So it is kind of interesting to hear what she's got to say for herself now that she's been given a forum. But it was just filler for the summer.
Filler for the summer, but it is interesting because you're right. We don't hear from her unless she's called on. There's no more news.
No.
So it really is like having, I don't know, it's kind of like interviewing Fred or something.
Well, and I think they got him as well, but I don't know if I'm going to get to that one or not. Either way, the first one is talking about John Hine and Bowie went to Taylor Swift with, I think, some of his daughters. I'm not sure, but they were talking about merchandise. And this is a funny bunch of clips because for years, Wiggy talked up shit about Jackie's, selling merchandise and how, you shouldn't do that. It cheapens the product. And I'm not, he was against anybody doing, outside ancillary gigs because, well, you're funny here that you're ripping off the fans and all this shit. And now you hear these clips.
And of course, we all remember how Howard got into that whole don't wear Playboy, don't wear Eagles jerseys, and he said, we'll make swag, but
they never did. No,
No.
Of course not.
we misjudged the fact that there was no traffic. So we got there at 5:20 for a show that started at 8:30.
You didn't want to miss any songs?
We thought we were going to be stuck in a shit ton of traffic, and John wanted to get there a little bit early because he wanted to buy some merch for his kids, and the lines are staggering. But, and they're
what's
everywhere.
crazy? You know what's crazy about this whole merch thing? My agent, I wanted to have merch, like Howard Stern show merch going back in the 90s, because like I'm reading about Jimmy Buffett, and no offense to Jimmy Buffett, but like Jimmy Buffett really, musically anyway, wasn't really, anybody who was big on the radar, but evidently he had a loyal group of fans and he just sold them so much merch that he became a billionaire.
It's absolutely true. I never understood it as a kid. I didn't understand it as an adult. I thought this is the lamest fucking shit on the planet. Like Taylor Swift is cooler than Jimmy Buffett. You know what I mean?
But not to people who go when they
Not to
are
parrot
in
heads.
it, when they are in a city and
Mhm.
there's a Margaritaville and there's they are buying merch, they are buying glasses, they are buying shot glasses, they are buying t-shirts, they are doing the whole thing.
It's no different than Fish or fans or Deadheads or, Stones fans. They will pay through the nose for whatever he's got to sell, or with some of these people. I don't have a problem with it. That's the thing. This big, this so-called stance on merch. Like the Beatles sold everything with Beatles on it. My aunt had Beatles stockings with their faces on it.
I really, it's America. You're allowed to capitalize on whatever you want. And if you can make a couple of okay songs and become a billionaire from selling some shit and making bars, that whatever, like go ahead, So Howard, I think, says this as like he's better than, but I think he really wishes I should have capitalized.
Oh, fuck yeah. And so like over the years, and it's not like he didn't have merchandise, pay-per-views, videos, crucified by the FCC, which was a piece of shit. Then books. Is that not merchandise?
Of course it's merchandise. I think though he wouldn't be singing this tune if he missed the boat, which he totally missed the boat. And let's also remember, Howard likes to change the tune to make it sound like he's more honorable, kind of like what he did with AGT, which we found out in articles recently, especially. We always knew it, but that Simon Cowell is the one who essentially got him fired because he didn't want him to be a part of the show. Plus, NBC knew that he was failing at bringing in audiences for AGT. So he got shit canned. But instead it became, oh, it's my decision.
Well, we did find out at the time because the Sony WikiLeaks betrayed that email, but it was not really publicized by anybody. And only the things recently on this, we thought it was a shill website for Buckwald. It actually is just a what do you call it? Clickbait website, basically. And if you're looking for Stern stuff, you'll find it there. You'll find it the Blast. But the Blast might be shilling. But what was the one? There's two of them. The Blast and the things. The Blast might be a shilling one, but and Lonely Lighthouse or whatever the fuck that was called.
Yeah.
But they the whole thing was it came out in an actual article. That's why that somebody said this is old news. We already know this, but no, but there weren't many articles that talked about the Sony WikiLeaks and explained the full timeline of how that happened. Like he always said, I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I chose to turn them down. Like, no, you had a fucking contract. You got kicked out with the end. You weren't re-signed at the end of your contract. They didn't want you.
Right. We knew that. I think it's interesting who put that, because the things is a publicity hype. That's why they always have Beth in there. And I mean, who cares about Beth unless Beth puts it out there and the PR machine has that put out there? It's not, nobody cares about her. So I'm wondering who put that out there to have this recycling again.
No idea, but that guy Rich Taylor, I think, is the guy that puts it together, and he's always he's on the Howard beat, I guess. And either way, so the merch thing, he's going to backtrack on it here. He's going to claim that he was full of shit the entire time.
Oh,
And
you
they're
had
saying,
to have every T-shirt, every cup, everything, and then you had to go to the restaurant. He opened restaurants, and then you got to go eat the bad burgers at the restaurant.
How great would a Howard Stern restaurant would be with like 3 items on there?
It would be awful. It would be almonds, yogurt,
pasta on the side, half in the trash,
the
sauce on the
same,
side,
like one sushi roll.
gummy bears. Jesus.
And then he started opening resorts. Now you got to go spend a week listening to his music being piped throughout a place while you eat bad food and swim in a pool
first of
with
all,
5,000 people.
is it bad food? You don't know that it's bad. You didn't
I've
know
been
that.
to, I have friends who
okay.
are parrot heads. I went and it was one of the worst burgers I've ever had.
Well,
I guess you weren't vegan at that point, were you, Robin?
I think the point of it though is like it's
There's a
cheaper
market for
than right, and it's cheaper than the luxury you get in Vegas normally. So it's like something you can have a lot of fun in, where it's people who are ready to let loose, let their hair down, have a good time. It's not as expensive as, let's say, going to the Wynn or something. You know, there's a market for people who that brand is a certain kind of laid back person that you kind of what you want to be around other people like that who aren't so hoity-toity.
Yeah, there's definitely like a low rent energy to it. Like, like even the Hard Rock Cafe is not any kind of fucking cheap eat. Sometimes, you know, like they can really stiff people with like exorbitant fees. But you know, I get it. If you want to be this, you know, chilling in the Keys type person, okay, that's your whole gig. Fine. I mean, it's not my scene, but if I were in town and someone said let's go, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, like if I'm at a Bills game, I don't want to go in the hoity-toity VIP area of some sort of, you know what I'm saying? I want to be around all the fans and all the people and have the best time. But that's me. Some people don't like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're not going to be in one of the shopping carts being thrown against another guy in a shopping cart.
I didn't do that. No. Actually, this year, it was in the news. Somebody got wasted on cocaine, LSD, and weed, and they climbed and scaled the new stadium fence and jumped over into a pile of gravel and had to be rescued.
Jesus, some energy.
Howard, so Robin left out the part where you have to buy all his clothing too. You have to buy the shirt, the hat, and the shorts, and the glasses.
Well, anyway, like I'm reading all of this in the New York Times this weekend about, you know, his obituary and how he made like he was a billionaire from just, you know, fucking T-shirts and
from that
like
crap.
all that crap.
He can't stand that.
No, it's literally like, how can I fleece the fans at one more way? And so he's going to argue that Don said, no, don't do it. And I believe it at the time, because Don would have said, no, don't be selling T-shirts. Don't be selling bumper stickers like O&A did. And like, what's the, you know, it's not like he was an author. It's not like he was Norman Mailer and wasn't selling, you know, like I'm too highbrow to be selling that cheap shit.
Well, especially at the time, he was low rent and he knew that about himself, and he thrived on being a scumbag on radio. So, I mean, this was perfect for the territory. I wonder who did put was it because he thought there wouldn't be enough? Was it something that could be counted? Like that success could be, you could account for that success, how little or how high it was. And so if they didn't sell well, that's a marker for failure if it didn't work.
Well, I think there's a couple things at play. Like these days, you can go on Teepublic as we have, and we have QF swag, and I wholeheartedly recommend it if you guys are interested. The only reason I went with that is because I had loads of people asking when I would put like some Photoshops available to be sold as T-shirts, because some people legit wanted them and got them. Natalie Liz, God bless her, she got a hoodie that looks great. She got the March of the Bagels on it. It's and she says quality's fantastic, and I've ordered from them myself. It's pretty good. The shirts anyway, but back then you would have had to order all these fucking like thousands to be printed, and that's your expense. Like with these places, you only get you get a percentage of the total fee, but you're not putting any money up front, so you don't lose any money on anything you sell.
I didn't think about that. You're right. There's a front to this, and that's
imagine
another
that
thing.
cheap
He doesn't want
shithead.
to. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like now all of a sudden I'm stuck with fucking Beetlejuice T-shirts that
you're
won't
so
sell.
right. I never thought about that. If he had to front the money for swag,
Yeah,
forget
and
it.
also, where's he going to sell them? He has to sell them on like through a phone line, like a 1-800-STERN we did in the early '90s. He was trying to sell his fucking butt bongo Fiesta or whatever. Remember, he was on Tom Snyder show and they bleeped this out. They bleeped him saying that.
Well, if he really believed in his brand, he would have opened that museum that he wanted to and sold them there, or had some sort of space in New York City for it. But he didn't do that.
He could have, like, not Walmart, but somebody would have sold it. Somebody out there would have sold Howard Stern
yeah.
swag. Yeah, at the time.
My agent's go, hey, maybe a Howard Stern show T-shirt. And, my agent, a very smart man, don't get me wrong, and wise about my career. Certainly I owe him everything.
You know what would have been perfect is Spencer's Gifts. Because at the time it was really popular in the 90s. If he would have sold any fucking little stupid gaff trick, whatever thing he had, like Beetlejuice, something, keychains, or Howard Stern T-shirts, or
fart spray.
Anything. He could have made a lot of money, I think, in the 90s selling at Spencer's.
Shitloads. I mean, like and people would have bought them in droves. I mean, he waited until Private Parts to really start with swag. I remember I saw a Ghetto Blaster being sold with Private Parts, the logo on it, the movie, and then there's always like lobby cards and stuff, but those are free, I think. But there's all kinds of stuff he could have made money on. T-shirts, especially bumper stickers, posters. Posters would have been huge.
But
huge.
You say to me, listen, we're not doing that shit. Your fans will appreciate the fact that you're not trying to milk them for every penny. And I would go, oh, absolutely. Meanwhile, I'm like, fuck. What?
He's got his own island and he's in a private jet.
So 30 years but at least 25 years of claiming the high ground, saying I didn't want to fuck the fans over with funny money, and here he's admitting, I don't know why. I guess he figures no one's listening anyway. Now I can be upfront with it and say, like, no one cares. Yeah, I wanted to milk you.
Yeah, and he thinks, well, people would have wanted to buy it because they like the show. So,
sure.
I don't think to myself, oh, damn, I wish I didn't buy that NSYNC poster. I'm not thinking NSYNC is milking me when I'm in 7th grade. I just like it.
Like, you don't find it a waste when you go to a concert and you get a tour shirt if you want one, like back in the day. Like, I went and saw Kiss on the reunion tour and I didn't buy a t-shirt because I thought the quality looked like shit, the design looked like shit, and it was like $30. And I go, that like in 1996, that was way too much for a fucking Kiss shirt that I wasn't going to wear anyway. And then I decided, nope, don't want it. But that was my choice. It didn't mean there wasn't a lineup of people fucking buying that shit.
No kidding. I mean, even when I went to see Chris Rock, I bought a zip up, or my mom bought one for me. Yeah.
That says Chris Rock on it.
It says Chris Rock on the front, and then it's his face with all the tour dates on the back.
Wonderful. I mean, you could, and that's something you could eventually sell if you didn't want it. Those things go for all kinds of money. I'm so pissed off I didn't buy this. There's a flea market in the like international market area of town, and I saw hanging on a wire hanger in a legit Van Halen 1984 tour jacket. Like the real thing. It was small, like it wouldn't have fit me, but someone on eBay would have fucking eaten that up. Like swag from back in the day, and I stupidly didn't get it. Remember Michael? You're too young. You weren't even born. Michael Jackson, Beat It, zip up, fucking jackets were being sold.
Oh yeah.
Michael Jackson was not afraid to sell swag. You know how many people bought those fucking gloves?
Mm-hmm.
He made a mint.
Wait. Yeah. He owns 17 homes, and I want a Howard Stern retirement community where my fans can go party all day and I don't know, blow their brains out, do whatever they want. So anyway, no, my agent always had this rule where it wasn't even his rule. I mean, I called the shots, but he said to me, "Listen, you just don't want to be selling everything under the sun. You don't want to be like Jimmy Buffett." And I was like, secretly, I do. And actually would like all that money. Why not?
I want to be a pirate and have people buy my T-shirts.
Yeah. I want to like have 2 hit songs and then just have billions of dollars. You know what I mean?
when is enough enough? You know, like, okay, so Jimmy made a lot of money doing this. You're still a multimillionaire and you're
But
making
yeah,
a ton of money still, and your show sucks. You should be grateful you're still allowed to make money.
if he's making money, for that matter, yeah. I mean, someone asked me like, how can he be? How can it be they don't want him if he's on the premium channel? He's on the premium channel because if you made him an opt out, no one would get him. Like
No.
like you put him on the premium because you can package him with a bunch of things as an add-on. It's like, look, that bit of bread in the center of the pizza that comes with it, he's that bit of bread. You don't
Yeah,
have to pay
it's the
for it.
same as when you're calling for cable and they
Hmm.
give you a couple of different options of, do you want this, this, and this together, or this, and this together?
Hmm.
Everybody knows that. He's
Yeah,
a part of the this, and this.
right. He comes with basic cable.
Yes.
And that way, he gets to get all the, like, well, I'm on the premium stations. Like, no, they're buying it for the NBA channel or the fucking MLB channel. They don't give a fuck about you, and they're not listening. And if you think they don't have the metrics and they don't know how many people are listening, you're out of your mind.
Plus, I mean, in a way, thank God he doesn't have 17 homes, because the overhead for Palm Beach, the New York City apartment he owns, but like Hamptons, he owns all of his homes, but that's a lot of overhead if you're not making any money.
3 properties, and the one in Florida's, I can't remember. Someone said it's definitely 6 figures a year in terms of property taxes. But yeah, if you're not making, I don't know, like what would he need comfortably to, like, cover his his taxes, everything, all his other expenses?
I don't know about property taxes in Florida,
Hmm.
because I thought they have like a good, I know they have no, I think they don't have property taxes.
Like, if he's such a star fucker, why doesn't he just up and move to California?
Right? I never realized. Yeah, that's right. Why aren't you living in California if you like these
Like,
people so
like
much?
New York,
That's
New
like your
York,
best friends.
like New York for music purposes, I suppose, fine. But the industry, the talent pool is all out in L.A. Why don't you live in Burbank, or, fucking, I don't know, somewhere, San Diego? Why don't you live in somewhere in the West Coast?
And when he is in Florida, I never see him going to those big Miami parties or the Palm Beach parties or any of
Right.
the things that celebrities do when it's, what is that, Art Basel every year that all the celebrities go to? He's never there. He's never doing parties with these people.
Yeah. Is it just that whole, like, I wouldn't be invited to anything anyway, so why go?
Does he want to go? I don't
I don't
know.
know. It's like you're closer to your family. You don't
I
give a
know who
fuck about
does want to
them.
go, Beth.
Oh, big time. Jesus, yeah.
So,
But he was promoting this pirate lifestyle. That was
yeah,
one of the things.
some pirate. He's living in the Hamptons.
He's raking in the dough while you
Pirate.
pretended to be a pirate.
He's in Hamptons and Palm Beach. What pirate? I want to be that kind of pirate.
You're already dressed like one shithead. Those scarves.
I know. Jesus Christ. You look like an extra from Hook. Shut up.
Pirates of the Hamptons.
That's right. He was no pirate at all.
No. But anyway, so it was kind of, so it was always this thing where, like, I couldn't sell T-shirts or cups or mugs or anything.
yeah,
And then I'm reading about Taylor Swift.
It's always this thing. It's always this. It's not. It was your decision.
Yeah, own it.
Buckwald's not. Buckwald gives you advice. You could take it or leave it. It was always this thing.
I guarantee it was the investment. He didn't want to have to fucking pay for it. He wants everything to be on someone else's arm.
I just love this vague. It's this vague hand always either pushing for or against something in his life when it's clear that he has control of everything.
You know what it is? It's like a guy. This is the analogy just popped in my head. He's taken his would-be girlfriend to the movies. Then he puts his hand on her knee, and she literally, like, kicks it off. Like,
Yeah.
and then he doesn't. There's no pushback. He's like, no, I'm not getting any. That's it. So high school, the Howard Stern, the high school years. Porky's the remake. All these supposed plans. Oh, I'm going to be in the movie Jane with Melanie Griffith. That falls out of the fucking off the ledge. Everything else.
His music career that he was trying for.
Right, that Mick Ronson produced. Oh wow, you're going to see that no one's heard jack shit. And Kane, Doomsday, all these fucking things that he claimed he had in the back burner. And then the one thing he does produce, Son of the Beach. Who gives a fuck about Son of the Beach then or now?
Well, think about this. He was better off, instead of doing that, you could have started your t-shirts and your bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd be making money off of that forever. I mean, what?
He didn't want, like, all you have to do, you're hiring a company to produce these shirts, and you have people like to accept phone calls for orders or mail-ins. You know, it's not that fucking difficult. But that even back then, is it slower? Yeah, sure, of course. But Christ, Time Life made millions, billions probably selling, you know, the Dean Martin roasts and the fucking, you know, the best of Boxcar Willie, you know, on 10 CDs, right? You know what I mean?
I mean, you could have actually gave Ralph a better job then. He could have been like a t-shirt designer. At least it would have made him seem more legitimate.
Yeah, instead of just a fucking fluffer.
She makes more money, and her fans don't seem to resent her. Like, John, how much shit did you buy? You got online. You were online. Gary said you were online for like an hour, right? Waiting.
Well, here's what happened. That was a short line.
Well, yeah, we actually found a short line, and I was like, I'm going to wait to buy some stuff for my daughters. And Gary's like, I'm going to go explore. I'm like, okay, so Gary takes off. So I'm standing online, and it moved relatively quick. It was like half hour, 40 minutes. Again, we had 3 hours to kill. And people are walking away with bags and bags of stuff. And this stuff ain't cheap. We're talking like, you know, $40, $50 average per item. So I got a couple shirts for my daughters, a couple other things. One for myself, of course. And
John, would my audience resent me if I sold them t-shirts? And what kind of shit did you buy?
No.
I don't think they would. I understand the point of view where, you know, I'm not selling out to my audience. You know, you get this product and it's great, and I don't want to make you pay for anything else. I totally get that.
Right.
But
Who would buy that now? This advice might have, this conversation, if you had it in 1993 or 4 or 5, fine. What the hell difference does it make now to ask John Hine this question? Do you know how stupid and desperate? John Hine, do you think because you stood in line at Taylor Swift and everybody's having, you know, armfuls of shit in their hands to like stuff into bags, do you think I should do this? The ship has sailed. Nobody cares.
Howard could sell $100 bills for $5 and no one would buy.
For real. You could stand there all day at the corner of whatever street and say, I'm signing stuff all day. Nobody would show up.
In New York.
Nobody cares.
Right? Your epicenter. No one gives a fuck anymore. You've alienated your base. You've got hate shows dedicated to you. Like, I guarantee
if he set up a t-shirt stand or a whatever stand at the corner of some block in New York City, there would be more protesters than there would be fans.
You'd have like tomatoes thrown out. You'd have people putting like chewing gum on the wigs. Anyway,
I'm all happy for Taylor and everything, but getting back to my point, why can't I sell merch?
You can. People ask me all the time for like.
My agent says no. My agent says that I don't want that. He says
he says that I don't want it. What about free will, dickhead?
And your agent isn't your boss. You're his boss. So that's weird. And second of all, if he's saying no now, that's because he's trying to tell you your days are numbered.
Yeah.
Write it out. You should have wrote it out a long time ago. The only reason I'm glad he's not done is so we can play this and have a show.
Mock on him.
I think that he's from another era. Speaking of eras.
I think it's an error not to sell merch.
And he doesn't recognize that, you know, all the rock and rollers always had merchandise. You know, everybody wanted a concert t-shirt. Everybody, you know, that was.
Of course, tour programs, posters, bumper stickers, pins. Pins were huge back in the day. Magnets.
You're having this conversation in 2023 for
Right. What a fucking idiot. Literally 26 years after your movie came out, when you could have sold, and you probably were, like, I mean, there if you look up Howard Stern private parts, on swag. And the other thing is, what do you call selling, 4 different CD covers of your soundtrack if it's not swag?
Let's just remember those book lines. If you didn't capitalize on that, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
This conversation should have taken place 30 years ago.
Yes. Fucking talk about missing the boat.
Jesus Christ. It's like he dropped in a wormhole. Oh, hello. What are you talking about?
Haven't done it. It would be a really exclusive, unique thing to give
Everything
to your
would
fans.
be exclusive
You
because
shouldn't
it's the
put-
first. Yeah.
Right.
And you would see like the Howard Stern anal beads, but they'd be very hard to get. Like,
Well, see, that's
Of course. Of course. That's the first thing he would go to. Howard Stern anal beads. Are you why am I not surprised?
I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Be careful, Howard. We used to
Like,
make
if
fun
you-
of, don't do doormats and stuff. That's stupid. But you can do cool stuff.
oh, what's wrong with the doormat? My fans need that. I mean,
And a chair.
what?
Yeah, well, your fans are your doormat. You've been stepping all over them for fucking 20-something years.
Zing. Who the fuck sells doormats?
For his pre-distressed boots to wipe them shit off him? Come on.
I never thought to myself, oh, I'm gonna buy. I like this celebrity. I like this show. Let me see if they have a Joe Rogan doormat.
No kidding.
Don't
You
you,
know
have
what's-
a doormat?
There's only 50 Fart Man spatulas made, and if you get one of those, you would be very, very lucky. Or the Robin Quivers signature bra, which is on sale and at the kiosk. Yeah, I always like, whenever I sat with my agent, I'd go, gee, so and so selling T-shirts. We don't want to do that. I go, right? Yeah, we don't want to
Whoa.
do that.
Let's rewrite history on a fucking dime right now is what's happening. Because we should have clips when he used to talk about this all the time in the 90s, in early 2000s, Fillmore. He would say, I would never do that. It was my choice. Like, I would never want to rip my fans off like that and make them. It's unbelievable.
In fact, there's one. I'm going to find the clip right here discussing Jackie's Jokeland merchandise. One sec. Here's an example, guys, back in the day when they were about 95 and they're discussing Jackie and he used to call them his tchotchkes. And meanwhile, Howard was selling stuff. Jackie was trying to sell stuff. And Jackie's just sitting there taking it because he knows he has no recourse. Billy's going to mock him with the Jackie puppet and all those things. But he doesn't care because it's income he's not getting from the show if he doesn't sell it.
Well, that's like when people who mock ideas that you wish you thought of yourself
Mhm.
and actually do them, that's what's happening.
It's projection, yeah.
A little bit larger than life,
Not
or that
even
you
a
have an important place.
I enjoy doing
No, Jackie's whole rap is that he's a man of the people.
Oh, I see.
That's not my rap. I enjoy
But he is. You are.
Well, maybe I am. I enjoy doing it.
I was with Jackie once. We were down in.
But don't you think that it's somewhat?
Why would people come to see you for money if you're just a guy?
Right. Why pay money to see a guy?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they do.
They do. And they come, and then
If it's
after.
not broke, don't fix it.
Do you feel that maybe this won't last forever, so I might as well just try to suck in as much money at an appearance as I
I've
can?
never thought about it like that, no.
I have to tell you, all the jokes you can throw at Jackie, in terms of whether it's right or wrong, he gets lines of people up there.
Because they you know what's wrong with people? I've studied people. That's all I study because I'm really not that bright. I study people. They get nuts. Then they wake up the next morning and they go, what did I buy? I bought a mug. I spent $100, a mug, a shirt. What am I going to do with this?
I bet you a lot of people buy more than one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he is right about people getting caught up in the moment and buying stuff. Like you go at the swag table and you decide, I want that scarf. I want this and that. It's true. But for the most part, as long as the person's happy getting it, it doesn't matter why they get it.
This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's America. What do you think this over-consuming society is. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We're America, man. Fucking, where do you think you live?
Yeah, they go nuts. They see the buy, and in this country, there's, people say they pay too much in taxes. They don't. If they got money for that,
extra money.
there's too much money in this country.
Howard, you're absolutely right, because there's a comedian and he does this thing at the end of his act with these fake eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right. And he does this rap for like 20 minutes, this whole joke about the fake eyeballs, and then when he's done, he sells these packages of fake eyeballs.
Yeah.
And people get online to buy them. And I remember I was working with him, and he gave me a pack, and I was thrilled.
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning. I go, what am I going to do with these?
Yeah, right. Throw them out.
I can't do.
Yep.
Good. I'm glad that people are spending their money on whatever the fuck they want. I don't want to be compelled and forced to spend my money on taxes for things that I don't really care about or think are fair or correct. So good. If I want to buy googly eyeballs and a Jackie mug, that's what I should be able to spend my money on. Don't fucking make me spend my money on things I don't want. Good.
Right. Like a stiletto.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you.
I want to be like Johnny Carson and,
Johnny Carson had a line of suits.
I know. But I used to.
And his every appearance on his own show was advertising for the suits. And they sold.
Yeah. Well,
I remember Arsenio saying, like, as a kid and growing up in the hood, it was very cool to see that Johnny had his own line of clothing. Like, that was a very, very hip thing to do, even though the clothes look, I mean, they're dated, obviously, but you can't look at it like that through that lens. You got to go, this guy, he didn't sell, like, they might have done tours through Rockefeller Station or whatever, it's Rockefeller Center. And they might have no, that was New York. Sorry. They might have done tours through the Burbank studios. And when he wasn't there, the same as they did for Letterman and stuff, but people were pleased to do it. And if there's a market and there's a demand for it, you sell. What's the fucking, who cares?
and that was pretty nuanced of Johnny to do that too.
I think so. I mean, Christ, he was offered a seat on Coca-Cola and shares and turned it down.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, it staggers me the amount of money he walked away from because he didn't want to be bothered with it.
Well, look at Howard. He didn't want to be bothered with this, and now he's pretending that it was. Now he's pretending it's Don Buchwald's fault when for all these years, up until this point, he said that was his choice.
Yep.
To say that, I go, didn't Johnny Carson have suits? And I don't remember the answer, but there was always an answer. But I don't. Taylor Swift doesn't seem to be too embarrassed or upset about milking the fans for cash. I mean,
no, but there was any other musician.
Yeah.
Next one.
No merch for me. Even I would like a Howard. I would like a Howard Stern T-shirt, quite frankly. And I'm Howard Stern.
You can get it. Thanks for the plug, shithead. You can get a quite frankly tee, guys. They're really good.
Yeah.
Talk about eras. Just imagine all of the errors and hairdos and
exactly.
all of that.
I've been around in this business for a long time. I've got bouffants. I got straight hair, curly hair.
Oh my God, you are flying so close to the sun. What is he thinking?
Howard Stern autographed wigs.
For fuck's sake, he is basically outing himself as a wig-wearing moron. And who is forcing anybody to buy a Taylor Swift swag? Nobody. That's her choice to sell it. Nobody has to go up to the stand and hand over their money or card. What is he talking about?
Right. They don't have to go see her either.
It's not a requirement to go buy a T-shirt.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kind of shit.
Next clip, guys. More merch.
I was jealous of his empire with the.
Yeah,
with the
that's what I thought. I was like, I gotta respect that.
Yeah, selling all that shit to the parrot heads, man. I mean,
started
it was
with
some
T-shirts.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm kind of jealous because I never sold a T-shirt. I had some sort of weird integrity that I really didn't want to have.
It's not integrity. It is not integrity. If someone claims they have integrity, you either do or you don't.
How is it integrity when you don't want to sell a T-shirt, but you're fine hawking, paying for radio and some piece of shit equipment and all these wires and hookups? I mean, what?
So how is it integrity when someone tells you shouldn't do it and you take their advice? That's their integrity, not yours. You are an empty vessel, except when you're filled with Ralph's fucking semen.
Yeah, I love how this went from it's Don Buchwald's fault. So now you have some sort of integrity. Wait a minute. I just thought you said it's your agent's fault and you wish you would have done it and you
Right.
wanted to do it. So which
Right.
is it?
I borrowed integrity from someone else.
Fuck.
So stolen integrity, not valor.
Honestly, I do want to tell you.
All this came from T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean, when I see Taylor Swift, like John Hine dropping $300 on shirts and other schmatas, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why do I have to have integrity? So why would I have integrity? I'm an asshole.
At least she's
You
got
don't.
records.
Hmm.
He doesn't even have like a great hit. And his T-shirts were going crazy, flying out the door.
No. Yeah, okay, Taylor Swift, I guess, but you know, I could have
I
had a
can
restaurant.
understand having a Rolling Stones T-shirt, but
What about
cheeseburger in paradise?
Did you hear him just say I could have had a restaurant and Robin cut him off?
Yeah.
He could have had a restaurant? What?
Wasn't Nobu essentially the Howard Stern restaurant?
Yeah, and Scores was the play place. I'm amazed by this, and I say Taylor should hire extra security after hearing this because
Yeah.
he sounds so insanely jealous. I'd be nervous.
No kidding.
How about a Howardville restaurant? Would you go?
There's nothing but a microwave.
Yeah, it's nonstop baked potatoes.
Elio's Pizza, whatever the fuck. Jesus Christ. Next one, guys. Wig is super shyked about Paul Simon, who came in today. I didn't hear the interview. Did you manage to hear it? Because I'm gonna maybe I'll have you cut up the Demi Lovato one, and I'll cut up Paul Simon.
Okay.
If there's anything worth cutting up.
Can you imagine if he had a restaurant, it would just be like for the entree, bowls of Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Big time. Oh, and by the way, everything on the menu is free because he doesn't pay either.
Week, a big announcement I have to make. Super psyched.
Oh
Paul
God,
Simon will be
super
on the show.
shite.
The next one is called Summer Pop-Up Show Bullshit. And this has to do with what the aforementioned we talked about Robert Downey Jr., John Bon Jovi, Brooke Shields, and her husband, I guess, and Mary McCormick. They all were at his house. And so this is like a 7-minute clip, but he starts talking about it. Rather than play that stupid show, I thought, and James, thank you for clipping this. It's better to just play this instead because he explains how it came about, which is all bullshit.
Say hi to a few people. It's been a long summer. We haven't spoken to anyone. Jilly, you're on the air in Pennsylvania. What up? Good morning.
Hey now, I'm
Hey
so
now.
glad you're back. I've been waiting for you for months, my
Welcome back, boss. I'm glad to be calling into the show.
Jilly from the back office.
Yeah. How's the Chinese food at your restaurant? Sinatra. I love that. Jilly Rizzo was Frank Sinatra's legendary bodyguard, and his wife they had a bar, and there was a Chinese restaurant in there. They sold supposedly the best Chinese food in town.
Oh my God, really? Wow.
Yeah.
friend. But I must
Yeah.
say, that pop-up show was amazing. Both pop-up shows were amazing.
I'll tell you the story of the pop-up show if you want to hear it.
I would love it.
So I was obsessed, Robin, with
Yeah.
the idea that on social media, on Instagram, you can go on Instagram and broadcast like that. Like if I'm sitting in the house with my wife says, let's go live. We can instantaneously reach her fans or, fans of her feed.
Who's a fan?
Right.
Fucking hell.
Who the fuck's a fan of Beth?
Yeah, Betsy alone. Like, what would you call them? Horse heads?
Well, what?
Horseshoes?
A fucking bunch of hoarders with like cats dead and alive all around them.
Yeah, well, how someone said anorexics, whatever you're going to call them. But either way, like, well, what don't you have Instagram? Don't you have TikTok? Can't you live stream yourself on your own fucking phone, dickhead?
But that's what he's talking about. But he's acting like this is some revelation. Yeah, people go live all the time. This isn't some
Facebook Live.
What year are you in?
Right, exactly. And so, and we already know the fucking realization. It wasn't about anything except I'm on forced vacation, forced furlough, and I'm desperate to have my name out there. I'm so thirsty, like some other people we know, and I need a show. I got all these celebs here. Oh, and by the way, there's no COVID for the time that the celebs are here. The COVID fear is gone while John Bon Jovi's in my house.
Yeah, well, Robert Downey Jr. straddling in a picture and sticking his finger in his mouth. We're fine.
Right.
Like that.
Pink pants.
So over the summer vacation, I was listening to a lot of music and doing painting and stuff. And I'm sitting in my room and I'm listening to some tunes. And I'm like, these tunes are really good. I wish I could share it with my audience.
They have a thing called Spotify. They don't need you for their fucking tunes, dickhead. Plus, who are you to talk about music when you spent your entire career bitching about the fact that you had to play music back in the day and you didn't want to?
Just make a playlist and put it out if you really cared. Oh, hey, I'm listening to this summer, guys.
Fuck.
Post
Like,
it
I
on
wish I
Twitter.
could hit a button and just go, hey, audience.
Here's what I'm listening to.
I'm sitting here and I wanted to tell you these songs I'm playing and why I'm playing them. And I think they're pretty good. It'd be fun to do.
Oh, God.
So I called certain people who work here. I don't know if they want their names mentioned or not. And I said, it's driving me crazy. I want to be able to hit a button and, and broadcast.
And go on. Yeah.
Well, they explained to me why we can't do that, because you need an engineer and you need this and you need that. There's things you need someone in.
Do we have an engineer?
No. And nobody on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or fucking Twitter have one either. And they do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Manhattan running this and that. So but he said, let me figure out the best way to do this. So what we came up with, that if I want to go on the air while I'm sitting and listening to music, there's a way for me to do it within 5 minutes during working hours. And then on other hours, if it was 3 o'clock in the morning and I wanted to do it, they'd have to get someone down there. That might take a half hour or 45 minutes.
Right.
But that's about the best we.
It takes a half hour to get your compression settings just right.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's his voice and his looks.
It has to be. And then, tweaking the video, making sure that the color settings are right, maybe making sure you can see those strategically placed fake gray hairs in the wig. It's all bullshit.
I do right now. Because I like the idea that if I was sitting at home that I could broadcast. And I don't want to do that on Instagram because I work for SiriusXM. I want SiriusXM to get the benefit of my broadcasts, and the people who pay for their subscriptions to SiriusXM to get the benefits of the show. Why should I do it on Instagram? Fuck Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
What is Mark Zuckerberg doing for you?
Right. So what's Mark Zuckerberg doing?
Right.
Yeah, he needs more money. So I'm sitting there going, I want to be able to broadcast. Anyway, Team Sirius came back to me and said, we have a way to do it. We'll get you on. So I said, oh, great. So I'd have to give them like 5 minutes notice. So I was having a dinner party. The first time I broke in live, I was having a dinner party that night. And I was.
Oh, and by the way, he wasn't getting paid for this.
This is so torturous to hear this process.
Well, it is torturous. I mean, the fact is, like, I don't understand why you just couldn't turn broadcast on air and do it.
Is this buildup is so boring? It's unbelievable.
It's not much more exciting to listen to the actual pop-up show that happened. Like, people told us about it. Oh, did you know he's on? And I'm like, I guarantee this was pre-recorded.
Can you imagine if we spent a whole show talking about how you opened your laptop and I opened mine? We plugged in our headphones.
I poured a drink.
Check our setting. I mean, who the fuck cares?
All the QF heads out there that are, buying our swag, they wouldn't mind buying an inscribed Sam microphone. And they want to hear the exact, they want to hear where you went to purchase it, what website, all that bullshit. How exciting.
I'm not selling anal beads, if that's what you're asking. Let's keep going.
Having some cool people over. Like really nice people. But I wasn't planning on broadcasting live. This is much to my point. But I was telling my wife, I now have the ability to broadcast live. So we're sitting and having.
It makes.
Wait a minute.
It
So
makes
he
me.
wanted to hear
yeah.
music. He wanted.
He wanted the listeners to hear what music he was listening to.
So instead of just tweeting out, like even Obama says, "This is my play." The ex-president of the United States gives a playlist that he's listening to every year. You're
Sure.
telling me that instead of just tweeting out what songs you're listening to for the
Right.
day, you have to now. You have to get together engineers, the serious staff, have your whole setup, and then you just happen to have a dinner party full of a random bunch of celebrities. And
Right.
Oh, because you wanted to fucking let people know what you're listening to because you love music so much. This is such horseshit.
It's complete horseshit. And I was thinking that sounded like, yeah, you could literally go on, let's see, there's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Live. Can you go on Twitter Live as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 4 apps off the top of my head, and I'm sure I'm missing 100 other ones that you could literally go on and just tell people what the fuck is going on. You hold the phone around, hey, let's do a selfie, if you think it's cool.
I believe that Building 7 collapsed out of fire more than I believe this story.
Dinner with this dinner party. And my wife announces to the table, hey guys, Howard has this ability to go live on his show now. And I'm like, uh-oh. One of the people sitting there is Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy's like not comprehending. He's thinking, oh, that's a great idea for a bit. If you just.
You said, Howard, that sounds great.
Beth announced.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Beth's idea.
Hey guys, would you like to go on the air? Look at this desk. It's like he's a radio host.
She's turning gray.
Yeah.
Just break into your channels and go live, but he didn't think I had the ability to do it.
Right.
And Beth goes, no, you're not understanding. He can do it right now. You should go down and do it right now.
Oh,
So I went,
wow.
I shouldn't be doing this because people will think I'm using them. Like I invited them over for dinner and they're going to think I invited them over so I can do a broadcast with them.
Well, you didn't, I don't think that it was that I don't think it was that pre-orchestrated, but you definitely had it in your head, or Beth did, or both of you said, what if we release this as a show? I'm sure that most of it came from him. Like it was based on a spark of an idea. Like, can we actually record now? Can we turn this on? But what I think is also, I don't even know for a fact that when he came back that any of these shows are live because they have back office callers. We know that the interviews are pre-taped. They could be because most of these people live in LA. They're not calling in at 3 a.m. from LA to do a fucking interview with this dickhead in real time. And he can't chance for real callers. So we don't know that anything's not pre-recorded.
Well, I also think too, well, that and the writer's strike's going on, and these people are desperate to get their faces out there and not cross the line.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great opportunity to get their faces out there. Hi, remember us? We still exist, type of thing.
And look at Drew Barrymore and all the shit she's going through right now, and Bill Maher as well. I think he finally he acquiesced and he said, "We're not doing the show now."
Yeah, he acquiesced, but Drew Barrymore acquiesced in the worst way possible, making it about herself.
Oh, fuck that video. If we ever had to cut that video apart, we would have a field day.
I like that she deleted it, not like everybody screen recorded it and mocked it endlessly. It's unbelievable.
Oh God, she'll never recover from this. Like people, they may, well, not, I don't know, not that she had much of a reputation to begin with, but it came off so poorly. I'm sure if Dr. Dodd Grande hasn't already done something about it, he should.
Oh, it's narcissism multiplied. I can't even.
Big time.
But it's crying about herself.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's quite believable. And the other thing is, I know I keep saying that.
I know. I keep saying this. So.
Well, Mike Babcock, the coach of the Blue Jackets, Columbus Blue Jackets, got fired for demanding to see players' phones, like personal photos on their phones and shit. And Bob was just messaging me saying, have you been keeping an eye on this guy, this head coach who just got let go? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit. And he goes, total NPD. And I have to look it up because it's going to be a great story.
Well, that's what Lizzo did to her dancers, demanding to see their phones or they couldn't leave. It's basically kidnapping.
Yeah, more or less.
which I was not planning on doing. But then when my wife suggested it, everyone at the table got super excited. And I said, well, we could go down and everybody pick a song, and whatever song you want to, whatever you want to do. And everyone was super high on the idea. But me being paranoid and neurotic, among other things.
Shit got real.
Well, shit got real. And also I was like, they don't really want to go down and do a broadcast. So here's who was over. John Bon Jovi and Dorothea, Jimmy Fallon and his wife, Nancy, Brooke Shields and her husband, Chris Henchy, Drew Barrymore was here, Allie Wentworth was here, Mary McCormick and her husband.
Jack Daniels and Jim Beam were also there, and Johnny Walker.
Yeah, and a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon. I really think that Drew Barrymore, since now I'm hearing of her name, I think this was a test to get. She's been wanting to get her ass and her face out into the public since this writer's strike has happened and find a way to cross the line without crossing the line. So I think they were all on this together to say, people need to pay attention to us.
Right.
How do we do it without offending this strike?
Yeah, well, Bon Jovi didn't. He doesn't apply to this, but everybody else is in the business. So,
Well, who has no integrity? Howard Stern.
Exactly.
And
who doesn't care about unions?
Yeah, who hates their workers more than anyone else?
More than anyone else.
This is so fucking great.
Yeah.
Chris Henchy was here. Chris Abbott was here, who was staying with the Downies. He's an actor.
I love it. Was it South Park? They had the Film Actors Guild. The acronym. Love it.
And of course, my wife. And that's a pretty good dinner party. And so now I ended up dragging everyone down to my basement. And that's how it came about. But then I went to bed that night thinking, this is a horrible thing I did, because my guests probably think I've had this all planned out, but I did not. But I have to admit, Team Sirius really came through, because I was able to broadcast just like that. The thing wouldn't have happened if we hadn't set up an immediate broadcast.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm sorry. It was so.
Now a part of me wonders if they said, hey, Howard, get Sirius to hook up your place so that we can record live, because we need a lot of attention and we're not getting it. Can we come over for dinner and do, hey, remember us broadcast?
Like the kids going to the one guy's house who has the Atari.
Yeah, everybody's grounded but you.
Yeah.
For
So
real.
cool. I was
Yeah.
so surprised. I'm sitting here like listening to it, and all of a sudden, boom, this comes on. I looked at my friend. I was like, is this really happening right now? I'm not even joking.
Doing it.
I was like, I was floored, man. It was awesome.
I love doing it.
Very cool.
And it was kind of fun, but then, I disapproved of a lot of people's songs that they picked. I didn't say
Me too. But I love Brooke Shields' songs.
Not everyone picked Bat Dance, so fuck them.
Oh, yeah. What was the other one where he's like, made me cry? I forgot that one where he's like, I cried.
Well, there was Collective Soul. I think it was called Heavy.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes me to a dark place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I hadn't heard that song in so long. I've been listening to it since, actually. It's like in the playlist now.
Yeah, Brooke Shields played.
I'm trying to remember right now. And
I'll tell you what it was.
Right.
Give me a second. I got to think. I got the song in my head. Oh, send me a letter.
It's called The Letter.
The Letter.
Yeah.
Lonely days are
My
gone.
baby just
wrote me a letter.
It was a fun one, man. It was a good
Oh,
one.
wow.
I was surprised about Bon Jovi's pick.
This is fucking riveting. Guys, are you like clasped to the radio right now?
Don't you want to listen to the show? Na, 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 the letter.
God bless you, Mikey. God bless you, Mikey Rex. I reposted the whole Cheers theme song clip that he did with Howard going da 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 da. And he made
sounds
the new
Go on,
intro.
sorry.
No, you made it the whole Cheers intro, just doing da, 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 with the graphics from the intro to Cheers.
It's so great.
It is.
He sounded like when the ice cream truck goes by.
Christ almighty.
I was
The
like,
Eagles.
yeah, I like the
You
Eagles.
didn't like the Eagles? Oh.
I do like the Eagles. I was just like,
How do you feel about
it's
the
all good.
Pelicans?
I still dug it. I mean, I listened to it a couple times, like that broadcast. It was very cool, man. I just wanted to thank you. It was very cool. Cool surprise.
Funniest guy was Brooke Shields' husband singing the Bronski beat. Very funny.
Oh wow, the Bronski beat.
I love it's just Brooke Shields' husband. We don't remember his fucking name.
Brooke Shields. Could you imagine if it's Howard Stern's wife? How pissed he would get.
Oh fuck yeah.
Him singing it. It looks so funny because you can't hear the music, so he's just singing, and then
Oh, he's singing. It's like a cappella because you can't hear the music.
and Jimmy Fallon did Rage Against the Machine, and he's screaming at I got to tell you, that guy.
He picked Rage Against the Machine because every day when he's drunk, he's having an argument with his fax machine, with his printer. He's screaming, like he's having conversations with the blender. That guy's fucked. I don't know if there's any more updates on Jimmy Fallon. I know he's put out this bullshit apology, but since he's also not on, isn't he?
No, none of them are because of the writer's strike.
Yeah, I'm just, but some of them, I remember when Ellen, there was a writer's strike and she said, I'm going to go out and sit out here with the audience. And I'm lending my support to the writers because, I'm not doing this with writers and all this bullshit. And I'm like, real solidarity, you just get off the fucking air and pay your writers while they're on strike with your millions.
With Ellen, that's not happening.
No fucking way.
He is a fucking powerhouse talent. Jimmy Fallon. Motherfucker, when he does a bit, man, he commits. I mean, he just was singing his heart out. And I was like, man, this guy knows how to do it. He just doesn't give two fucks.
Yeah, we know.
Same with Robert Downey Jr. He goes in. That's why he's a good actor. He goes all in.
Yeah. And the next clip, guys, is called Bowie lying about the number of shows.
Well, our countdown to the next summer break begins. How many more shows do we have another summer break?
Oh, God, I have to go to my calculator. I don't know.
Where's that, Robin?
Oh, nice. Somebody
hold on.
We'll need to know.
I think it's 111.
111. You don't even do like 80 a year anymore.
That's so bad. It's unbelievable.
I mean, is he counting like wrap-up shows? I don't even think it's over 100 at that point.
Just get off the air.
Yeah.
What is this contract over?
Very good.
And this last one is called Wig Reads BetterHelp ad. It's a therapy. Do you know Better? Have you heard these before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pre-recorded live read. It's not a live read. It's him having to record this because there's no way he did this on the fly. He fucks up every fucking ad. I mean, Matt was Total Wine and More.
Oh, that was so
right.
We were crying when that happened and nobody could even ad-lib for a second. They had to bring in Bowie, who did a worse job, but that's the best they could get. Total Wine.
So he was in the studio for this one.
Our sponsor, BetterHelp, wants you to imagine you're looking at a scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If that scale isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. BetterHelp says therapy is a great way to make sure you make the time for yourself.
We're going to put this rock beat right behind him.
What is this voice? What is this ad reading voice he's doing?
It's a completely different mic than what he uses, so he went in some fucking actual studio to cut this, guaranteed.
It sounds like the old days when he was trying to sound professional.
Yeah.
It's very crazy.
Yeah.
They offer convenient online therapy on your schedule. They say it's the same professional service you would get from an in-person therapist, but with the option to communicate when and how you want, by chat, by phone, by video call. Plus, getting started is easy. Just go to their site, fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist. It's that simple. If you don't find the right match the first time, you can switch therapists anytime for no.
Be funny if you got onto the Zoom with the therapist and this music was in the background.
It's so weird. But you could. I mean, how much would your vocal cords hurt if you were trying to talk like that?
Yeah. Guys, we're into September 6th, but we're actually going to play some of the Robin clips. I don't know that we're going to play all of them because there's so much of them. But I found it kind of fascinating, and I think you guys will too.
that
Yes.
even though our guest has somehow and sometimes in the past had a reputation for being late, this was all our fault. We are late because of us, not because of our guest.
It's always your fault, Bowie. I don't know what you're talking about.
The
They
show
did it to
started
make me
late,
feel
too.
comfortable, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Quivers is joining us today. Hello, Robin. How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. This is very exciting. I've never been asked to be a guest on the show.
Well, you have no idea the meetings of what we were going to ask you about, and people were lining up yesterday with questions. Because listen, people
Yes.
don't get to talk to you directly on the show without Howard being there. So this is get ready for people to want to know who Robin Quivers is.
So this is the reason why I really wanted to cover some of this is because like we said before, you don't hear from her almost. You wouldn't even know she was on the show sometimes.
Yeah, but imagine that meeting. The questions that were flying around that were turned down, like, no. Jim Florentine, no.
Right. Well, I mean, that's ancient history now, but I mean, like, what? And the best stuff is really what she sort of betrays herself. And the other thing is, so they pitched it to her as something to do as an extra, as an add-on, I suppose. And do you think because she was so starved, she said, "Yeah, sure."
I'm not sure I'm not sure how the angle went, but I would be like, oh yeah, let's ask about what it was like in that hospital room with Artie.
Yeah, big time. This next clip is called "More Fasting Bullshit."
The show is on a break. So for you, that means you have a lot of free time. What have you been doing? What have you been doing in the last couple of weeks? Since, I mean, your routine's got to change up a little bit. What's summer break Robin Quivers' day-to-day life like right now?
Well, first of all, you start to lose track of the days because you don't have those work days anchoring your week to tell you where you are.
Yeah.
So I showed up for a meeting a day early yesterday because I didn't know what day it was.
Yeah.
So you get this, you're sort of floating around, and it's really nice to be able to, not have a lot of plans, because a lot of times you might want to fill all the time up with plans so you have something to do.
I know what that's like when you're on actual vacation, especially on location somewhere else that you've never been, and you do lose track of time. If you have like a big chunk of a week or 2 weeks or something like that, you stop looking at the clock, you stop looking at, the calendar because, you're in a different mode.
Yeah, I guess though, it does sound like not a lot of people are asking Robin to hang out because she's saying, oh, because we fill it up with plans, and it sounds like she doesn't have plans for anything.
No, she doesn't, and she'll get into that.
But it's really nice to wake up and say, what do I want to do with this day? So that's been happening a lot. I've also been on my health journey that has been talked about a few times on the show. So I'm coming off of a 7-day fast. You're getting me day 1 of refeeding. So
what did you? So what was it?
I don't know what this entails, guys. She's going to talk about it, but 7-day fast at her age and the weight she's at.
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
She could say anything at this point, and I'd never be surprised about what she does.
It also could be bullshit.
Honestly, whatever she says about her health or what she does for it, I don't know what to make of it anymore. There's so much.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you ate after the fast, the 7-day fast?
Well, see, that's the imagination that you might go pig out on something. No,
Yeah.
I had, what did I have? I had some macadamia nuts and some olives.
You're crazy. You're a nut. But Robin, you did
Because it was, it's just the end of the evening. I didn't want to eat a lot of food, so I just wanted to, soothe my hunger, and that's all it took after you haven't eaten for 7 days.
Next clip, guys, is called Riveting Rashawn.
Well, you said you wake up, and I want to start with even that because when we're in show mode, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, what time do you get up?
Oh, on show mode, I get up at 5.
Okay. And were you able to switch that? Like, do you still get up at 5 and go back to bed, or do you get up at 5? How are you doing that?
I never get up at 5 if I don't have to.
Yeah.
That is not happening without an alarm clock.
If they're on at 7, why does she need to be up 2 fucking hours in advance? And they don't do anything except by textbook.
I have no idea. And it's not like she's doing Monday through Friday, which is the other. I'm sure plenty of people would be fine at waking up at 5, 3 days a week.
No kidding.
So, but I do wake up probably at around 6:30, so I could still make the show even if I didn't have an alarm clock.
See, that's impressive
Uh-huh.
because when I get into a routine of waking up at a certain time every day, even when I don't have to, my body just automatically wakes me up. I'll wake up and I look at my phone. It's like, hey, it's the same time you would have woken up if had we set the alarm. So it's actually
Right.
impressive that you're able to sleep later if you don't have that alarm going off to wake you up.
Well, I guess I'm also used to doing it, 4 days out of the week, because
What happened to 5?
It's 3 now. What is she talking about?
Unless she's talking about the whole, like, when she's off, like the other days she's off, which is 4, absolutely. But the thing is, and I get like that. My dad was like that after he retired. He was still waking up at 6, no alarm, and eventually he got out of that. Eventually it was like 7:30, something like that. He did have a routine that he couldn't get out of, but his body clock was like that. I'm the same way.
I'm not. I could sleep forever.
I do switch on and off even when we are working. I won't get up at the same time when I'm on Thursday or Friday. Yeah.
And the next one is called Robin's Babysitting and Health Tips.
Yeah. So what's the first thing you're doing when you get up? You get up in the morning and walk us through your day a little bit if you don't mind.
I have so many routines. I told you I'm on this health journey. So
Yeah.
everything I do has to do, I was thinking about it a while back. I started this in March, and it really occurred to me that, I am 10 years past that awful diagnosis. And for that entire 10 years, I really haven't felt like a well person. I've been post-cancer person and always thinking of myself as that. And so I finally said, wait a minute. If I ever write another book, it's going to be called The Last Diagnosis, because this woman I went to after my wrist blew up a few months ago, that was in March, and she started describing my life now that I had rheumatoid arthritis. And
So we've never heard that. Like, that's something we would have heard. We would have enjoyed hearing on the show. Not enjoyed hearing like her out of her, calamity, but like that's something that, if they cared about their listeners, they'd give a little information like this.
Well, it's incredible that just ceases to exist. The part where I think it would help a lot of post-cancer people to hear that I have felt not well for 10 years because I still think of myself as just recovering from cancer every day. And I'm constantly in this post position where I can't move on from this mental space of feeling like I just recovered from cancer and it's been 10 years, but you still have that mentality. I think a lot of people would resonate with that and how to get yourself back to feeling like a well person. And it would also be interesting at her age to to help people understand that you do have these things like rheumatoid arthritis or other things that happen as you get older, but we just keep pretending like they're the same age as they were when this radio show started because Wiggy's such an insecure dork and can't allow for any truth.
Yeah, anything real. I mean, she's 10 years after the diagnosis. Her diagnosis, which was treated the same way Beth was, it was completely ignored for the first year and something while she was off the show.
I think the most interesting thing we've heard recently was Beth almost being diagnosed with diabetes or whatever. And
yeah, pre-diabetes.
Right. But I think the realness is something that is what we used to love about the show. The fact it doesn't exist anymore is why we hate the show. So although I think it's boring hearing about her health journey and the way she's trying to frame it, like with these fasts and all this other bullshit, I do appreciate her mental space.
Well, as some QFers might know, and most might know, my wife also battled cancer successfully,
Mm-hmm.
and she thinks of herself as a work in progress. Like she's Mrs. Fillmore or Mrs. Fix 2.0 kind of thing, and she's doing phenomenal. And she never stopped a day of work while she was undergoing any, like, it's incredible. She had a stroke, then 8 weeks after the stroke, it was supposed to have been 12 before she did surgery. She had surgery to take out the cancer. Then she like did chemo after a certain amount of time, and then literally 36 hours after her first chemo, she was teaching. And yeah,
But
and
I think
most,
it was so nice to hear when she was not nice. That's the wrong word. I think it was important. And when she was, for us, when we would sign on, she would always show me her hair growth
Yeah.
or look at this, or I'm feeling this way today or that way today. And just the journey that to feel that where she could sleep comfortably or
Yes.
feel comfortable and what clothes bothered her, what everything about that whole journey I think is so important to talk about, and it's interesting as well.
Yeah, and being going to work helped her. And I don't mean to make this about a personal blah blah blah, but with Robin, I think I agree with Sam. It would be a better radio or better podcasting if they were allowed to be totally free about stuff. That's why the stuff we try to break down, especially, are obviously fuck ups on the show, but also there's rare times where the mask slips. The
Well,
NPD mask, or Beth comes in, and we're going to cover that with the next set, with this one and the next one. That we don't get to hear anymore.
Right. Wouldn't it give you something to, like, for example, when she would come in and talk about her insecurities about her hair or something, and then all of a sudden she has this mess of curls. It gives you something to root for. You're happy for this story, for this going forward. You're rooting for this person to get better and look at the signs they're getting better. For example, if Beth came on every day and talked about the struggle with dealing with Howard every day and how it's mental anguish and how it affects her health, I would be there all the time.
Everybody would.
And if Robin talked about this battle with her own body and how she's feeling mentally, it would actually make her a sympathetic character, an empathetic character. But instead, she never gives that, so nobody cares.
But do you hear when you hear this stuff, these audio clips, don't you also feel like they still have to tread water around King Baby? They have to be on their tippy toes so they don't say anything overly negative?
Well, I think they're very trepidatious in this segment right here because she's getting real, but they're asking about her day, and I don't think they were expecting to hear such personal anecdotes about her health.
No way.
So now they're treading a water that they weren't ready for, and it's kind of fascinating to watch how they're going to maneuver this.
Yep.
I was going to, possibly wind up in a wheelchair with none of my joints working. I said, that's it. I am tired of diagnoses. There must be something you can do. And, that's where I find myself now on this journey of restoring my health. Because after you've been through something like that and you don't do anything but take medications and get more diagnoses and get more medication, you wind up in this syndrome. And, your body just gets worse and worse. And I just said, no, I know that this doesn't have to happen to you. I can do something about this. I can, at the very least, make myself healthier.
Yeah, see, and I'd like to be able to mock this, but I know what she's talking about because you have to have sort of a positive mental attitude. But there's some things, on the other hand, there's still a little of that holistic bullshit thinking, and narcissism thinking oh, I can get past some things you can't get past you, but you do have to deal with them.
But a lot of foods and junk that you eat and these ingredients that are put into most of our foods in America, especially, are garbage. And so if you cleanse yourself out, you give that. Now I understand what she's saying. She's giving herself a cleanse because she wants to start from zero and put actual food into her body and not whatever she was doing, because it's probably causing her you are what you eat type of thing.
Oh yeah, but I guarantee she's not being honest about how she was abusing her body this whole time and eating shitty foods and stuff, because that's always been her demon.
Well, I think that's kind of the admission here, not saying it outright,
Yeah.
But she's saying, I didn't care about my health. I was just taking medicine thinking that was going to help me. But she's taking medicine while probably eating a Philly cheesesteak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So now she's saying, this is half of my fault too.
Yeah.
And the medicines aren't doing it anymore. Now I have a wrist that's blown up. I'm going to be in a wheelchair. I have to change.
But the way I'm hearing it, it just feels like you're 71 or something, like 71 years old. Just fucking retire.
The other part too, don't you think it's bizarre that she's giving us this line? Didn't she already figure this out like before even the cancer? Wasn't that what her whole original health journey was about? She wrote a whole book about it.
Of course it was. And then
We
later on,
watched her chop green shit in front of kids.
yeah, Mima, and then whatever the fuck that other one, Sylvia's Kitchen or whatever. Sylvia's Kitchen, yeah. Fucking and then watching that guy on Vegucating Rob and just watching that chef, the guy who put her recipes together for her book, watching him in the kitchen. That video, remember the one I posted on Facebook? Oh my Lord, we are going to cover that at some point or some sections of it. But
the point is, she already knew this? This isn't some revelation. She had that revelation over a decade ago. So what the fuck is she talking about? I figured that I had to take control of my health and I could do this. So this is the same line that you gave us years ago when you thought you were going to be the next Oprah. So what the fuck?
Roller coaster Robin, just kind of going through every old cycles all over again. It's everything's cyclical.
And that's what I started. So every day starts with rituals. The first ritual is to get up. I have this tea I have to drink and I have to have it in my system for 30 minutes before I can do anything else. So I drink that, and then I go back and meditate. And I learned to do Reiki when I first got cancer. And so now I'm back to giving myself Reiki every day.
I looked up Reiki, and I'm sorry, Kayla, I know you do Reiki and stuff, and you have done it and stuff. To me, it's absolute hogwash bullshit. Like you the laying on of hands and stuff. Not to say that a massage or massage therapy or physiotherapy isn't beneficial, but the Reiki stuff I've never bought.
I don't know. I know two people who went to go do this, and they said it's like the most amazing feeling. It's like euphoric.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never done it, so I don't know. I mean, this is something I can't comment on because I don't know. But I do know two people who did it and said it's absolutely like mind-blowingly amazing. So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe get a hand job at the end of it. I don't know. The only thing I was thinking of was like acupuncture, right? I've heard people talk very well about acupuncture and but only getting temporary relief as a result of it.
I guess like I wouldn't dismiss something just because it's not modern or it's just not. I won't be dismissive of it just because. I mean, there's a lot of things that people knew back then that we've just kind of stopped knowing when it comes to herbs or plants or cures or.
Well, I
you
just
know what I'm saying?
I know, but I still don't think I think there's a middle ground somewhere where you go through modern medicine and decide maybe there's some aspects of, the sort of holistic stuff that have their benefits. But some people I think go with, let's do the Mr. Miyagi, slap your hands together, rub it together, and all of a sudden your broken neck will recover itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, if it works for her, great. It makes her feel better. But I don't know how you give yourself Reiki. You're supposed to go to a practitioner.
Yeah, I caught that. I'm not sure how Robin is suddenly remastering Reiki on herself. Do you think it's just her spending like a day in bed with a dildo?
Probably. And friendlies. Ben and Jerry.
And
Reiki.
Reiki is what she calls the dildo.
I'm doing stop. I can't talk. I'm doing Ricky's.
I might do some exercise or go outside for a walk or sit in the grass or go to the beach or, whatever I do to get out and get some sun, move around a bit. And then it's time to eat my first meal of the day because I usually am either on a 2 meal a day regimen or a 1 meal a day regimen. So it just depends.
I like how and this is how I know she's been pretty not moving around, is when you say, I plan in my day to move around. This is how you know it's been a problematic 10 years for her of being laying around, not moving around, not going and walking, not doing something to move her body. You could tell that's been cut out of her life when you say something like, I have to take part of my day and move around. That's somebody who's not doing shit.
Well, that's what I think. Yeah, and the fact is, if she was honest about having maybe neuropathy and having all kinds of pain as a result of the chemo and stuff, and then having to be on meds, and then the meds making you lethargic and not wanting to do these things, all good, like all extremely comprehensible. But she's not saying that. She's only giving us bits and pieces over the years, and now this comes out. And then what if you went to a doctor and said only one of the 10 things that were wrong with you, you wouldn't get a proper diagnosis.
Right. I think my dad's retired and my mom, when he becomes like just watching TV, basically milling around the house, not doing anything, eating, cooking, not doing shit, his health is falling apart. He starts getting back into a routine of walking or biking every day or going to the gym. She'll say, Dad's moving around today. He's doing so this is how I feel when I'm hearing this. Like, oh, so you're really not doing fucking shit.
No, I don't believe she ever was. I don't think she was. And I mean, again, it's not to shit on the cancer, the recovering cancer patient. It's look at her in the videos. If you look at her in any normal Howard TV in the last 10 years, she ballooned up to the book promotion weight and then has been fluctuating but vastly overweight for a long time since.
And I really think Howard not going back to the studio contributed to this just sluggish, not doing anything, because you don't have to get up to go to work. There's something
lifestyle.
about if you don't have to get up and go anywhere. In Robin's case, I don't think she will, and she didn't, and that's obvious that she didn't.
That's right.
I want to ask you, now that you've gone on this journey to what it sounds like to reclaim your health, right? Are there any goals that you have? Like, are you working towards a goal? Like, will I see you in another marathon? I doubt that. But,
Heck no, I'm never. I think the marathon was what killed me.
but is there something that you're like working towards, and you're like saying like, hey, I'm getting healthy again, and I want to do this thing that I didn't think I was going to be able to do when I got the diagnosis?
All I think about, Gary, is being the person I was before. I think about, the way I used to live my life. I traveled a lot, and, I also had people to my house all the time. And when people came here with kids, those kids would be falling asleep in their dinner plate because I wore them out.
I believe it. Yeah, just by nonstop fucking chatter.
I can't picture Robin with children.
No, and having guests with, like, I could actually, if someone brought their kids over, I think she'd be okay, like, for a visit. I think for a short time she could put up with them, yeah, but not like having a little sister there.
I can't picture Robin alone with children, other than it would be, this narcissistic onslaught. I'm sure she'd have activities planned for the day. If they didn't react to the activities the way she thought it would end up bad for them.
Oh, yeah.
She'd be pissed.
Oh, yes.
And then it would be a horrible end of the day. And then she'd want to be done with it.
I mean, she took the little sister to Disneyland or Disney World, and then she got pissed off when the little sister said, "You talk too much."
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And then that was the big thing. Like, it was all about you. I got pissed off, so fuck her.
She doesn't like listening to people. I mean, we all saw that at Sally Jesse. Hey, give your opinion. Now let me shout you down.
I love that look.
And that was my favorite thing to do, to just get them so busy and, outside for the whole entire day, running around, doing whatever.
I will say I do, and I'm not going to shit on her for this. I think that's great. If she's getting kids outside, being active, and kids have this great way, especially like when I worked at a daycare, you feel more, your body, your mind, everything when you're with kids feels younger and more free, more fun. and it's a good feeling. I think being around kids is good for your mental health, and I enjoy it personally. I love being around kids, not even just mine. I love kids. I've always loved kids. So
Totally.
for Robin, I think that this would be a good thing. She should have kept up with that if she knew that that was something that was beneficial.
Well, if you've ever seen those videos online, like a YouTube, where they have old retirement homes and they have a bunch of like kindergarten students visiting and asking questions and stuff, like, and having them interact, and you see that the old people, like in the homes, the ones that are the more mobile ones, and they interview them and say, what do you think about this? They say it's fantastic. It gives us a little bit of sense of purpose. It reminds us of when we were younger and stuff, and because you do regress as you get older, and you feel more like a kid because everybody has to do things for you.
We used to, for when I was in elementary school, we had to go to a nursing home, and we would go every week, and we would have a specific senior that we would have, and then we would have to interview them by the end and write a paper about their life. So they just loved it. Some people were never visited, so they would enjoy the visits so much. And then at the end, we had to do like a Christmas song and perform something for them, but they just absolutely, and then we wrote the papers about them, gave them the papers, and they loved it.
Oh, that sounds great. And that would make,
I
think
wish
it would make
more
their day.
children did that in schools. I think it's important
Yeah.
to give back.
6:00 that evening, they couldn't even keep their eyes open.
So I can testify to this because Robin had my family at her house once when she wasn't there, and there were a team of people who were like, hey, there was a guy giving my kids surf lessons, and there was another, I think it was the same guy who was taking them out on the jet ski. And you're absolutely right. Like those kids had, you keep those kids busy.
And that, it was an absolute joy for me to see that happening and to be a part of it. And that hasn't been happening for the last 10 years. I'm sitting around watching people do things. Right now, Captain Dennis has hidden the keys to the boat. I can't even go out on the boat on my own. They won't let me do anything.
Why can't you take your boat out?
Well, it's a bigger boat than it was. Not the biggest, but the jet boat was the one I could always handle. And we got a bigger jet boat. And, he's seen me sitting around here, not able to do anything. And so he's like, keep those keys away from her, because if she knows where those keys are, she might go out on her own and we'll never see her again.
Yeah.
Well, she's extremely immunocompromised and health compromised in so many ways. I bet she's even got like the dropsies. I bet she's, she's, got maybe the neuropathy is having her press things that she shouldn't be and dropping things. Like if you're cooking, if you're trying to do like prep work for a meal and you got a knife in your hand and suddenly you get that neuropathy, you don't feel that you've just cut through your fucking finger. It's dangerous as fuck. And for the boat, like God, of course, you keep her away from cars, everything.
Well, of course, she's a little young to be having this conversation, but, Rick's mom's 91. And, a few years ago, we had to be like, okay, let's pretend that we're fixing her car and then just say, that's enough. We're not getting in the car.
Yeah. Next clip is called King Baby Bitches to Robin Once a Week.
And how often do you guys speak to each other?
Usually about once a week when we're on vacation. I talk to him every day practically when we're on the air. But yeah, about once a week.
And I guarantee it's him calling her. Or actually, if it's once a week, it might just be her calling him.
That's a tough one.
Like her checking in and him not giving a fuck. That's why it's got to be her all the time. We've heard of him saying, over the years, I've tried to get a hold of you and you wouldn't answer, and when he had a bitching problem. So it sounds like unless he's got something to bitch about, which he often does, and there's no Beth, his alternate is Robin. And if she won't answer, it means she knows what's coming. So it's got to be her calling him.
I think it's her calling him.
Yeah. Next one, Anxiety Olympics starting line.
Not too long ago, you were talking about getting back to your old life, how you used to travel a lot. With having the summer off, do you have any major travel plans? Any bucket list items that you plan to check off your list?
I hate the bucket list term.
Okay.
Because, bucket, it refers to kicking.
Sounds like the end,
bucket.
right? Yeah.
Like, I just want to do things. I don't want to have a bucket list where, once I get to the end of this list, I can drop dead. I have a trip planned, and it's going to include 2 destinations. Okay. And I'm going with some friends, and so yeah, that's coming up toward the end of July, beginning of October of August. So yeah,
Robin,
I have
begs
that,
the
and
question.
then there's conversation about a much bigger trip, maybe around the Christmas vacation.
So and I don't. You have Sirius, so you would know. But I've looked through the things. I haven't heard anything about her trips so far.
No, I haven't either.
And
but
normally,
he doesn't talk to her.
Well, that's it. No one would. Back in the day, the first thing they'd talk about, where'd you go? What would you do?
That doesn't happen.
Nope, not anymore.
So, Robin, that begs the question that, when you spoke to Howard, did you mention that you were leaving your little compound? And how did he react?
Yeah, he knows about it, and, he's being okay with it. We did talk about re-entry anxiety. That's what I'm calling it. When you've been locked down for so long and not doing anything and not going anywhere, I find that every time I go somewhere, even for a dinner outside or, to that wedding I went to, you're like, these people are breathing on me.
And I'm not going to get into the COVID argument, guys. The bottom line is now at this point in my life, a long time now, since at least the beginning of the year, roughly March or earlier on, people stopped wearing masks. People have been going around. Now I think I can spot 1 in 2, maybe 2 in 200 people who are wearing masks.
I am not. I've been over it forever. So to me, this is just the anxiety of it is your own mental illness at this point, I think.
Well, I think it's all Howard related.
Oh, of course it is.
It's literally got that on the mind. Like, what's he going to fucking do if I do this, whatever? And that's no way to be.
I think it's sad that somebody who has acquired so much wealth and has so much of her life that is free time, to think of, I would, if I wasn't a working stiff and didn't have to work every day, the things you would cross off your bucket list. I mean, imagine the privilege to be able to just do that. And she is suffering from anxiety to not cross those things off her list. That's sad.
It is very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like I'm not used to that. I haven't been around, people stay 12 feet away from me for the most part. And so it is like, Robin, you're going to be okay. Sit here. It'll be fine. But yeah, flying and all. Yeah, deal. This will be first time on a plane.
Just odd.
I'm shocked by this.
Yeah, because it makes like if this was the beginning of the year, I would understand, or the end of last year, I would understand. But she's so isolated all the time. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's like in your mind, you're still in some place that was back in the recent past.
I don't know. And if you're going to worry about flying, just ask Howard to borrow one of his fucking aircrafts and go.
No kidding. Next, we're going to play 2 more clips, guys. Bowie fighting a long overdue battle.
Well, I do want to ask, we are here to celebrate you today, Robin, but I do have one, because you opened the door. I have one minor bone to pick with you. When I was talking about my COVID, right? It was a Wednesday.
Come on. I wasn't doing what you were doing. I see those tweets.
Hold on. It was a Wednesday, right? And you tore me up knowing that on Saturday you were going to a wedding.
Yeah.
And she's going to argue, well, no, but you went to a place that you don't know who was vaccinated. You don't know who was, who tested positive. And either way, big crowd, big crowd.
Either way, the vaccine doesn't prevent transmission, so who cares?
Right.
It's for your protection.
And she's going to say, oh, the people at the wedding were tested. How do you know they were tested? How do you know for a fact they were tested? Who gives a fuck? You don't. Right.
And either way, again, we know the facts. We know the risks. We know if you don't have a certain amount of comorbidities, if you're not a certain age, if you've had it before, you have antibodies. If you've been vaccinated, you're not probably going to get hospitalized. So who gives a fuck?
Right.
Everybody's
But I had my rationale. Like you can't account for everybody at a concert. This
But
was
it's
a
not
where
your job. Again, though, this is not your vaccine or whatever you're going to do. You have to personally protect yourself the best way you can. You
That's
have
right.
to live life.
Yeah.
The end.
Yep.
where everybody was at least tested. That was the point.
Well, at the
And
Def
there were
Lep- at the Def
two.
Leppard- at the Def Leppard concert, everyone had been tested. Or had been vaccinated.
Vaccinated is not
well,
tested.
My point is,
Bowie losing a fucking battle he shouldn't be in.
But this is another argument. If you're saying, okay, well, if everybody had to show their vaccine card at the time for the Def Leppard concert, which I think is ridiculous and it's not, but okay, they made them do that. Fine, whatever. And now she wants them all to be tested. I mean, where do you want to live in Auschwitz? Like, what are you talking about? This is insane. I mean, how much protection? And by the way, what is that doing for you? I mean, you did all these things for yourself to get protected. So why are you worried about other people? You're protected, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. If you think you are, then don't worry about it. Or if you're that like worried about it, then don't go out to the concert. Don't go to the wedding.
And the nerve of her to put that on him when she's prepared to go do something herself is even more.
Yeah, she needed to shut the fuck up, but instead she piled on.
And she's still defending this.
Yep.
My point is, and we won't dwell. Point is, everyone when we talk about this, everyone seems to have their own line and their own rationale for what they do.
Well, I had a meeting with someone, and I said to him, at this point, it's not avoiding COVID at all costs. It's deciding who you want to catch it from.
Yeah, pretty much.
That makes no sense.
Oh, so it would be fine if you caught it from what? Brooke Shields, but not fine if you caught it from Ted in the subway? I mean,
yeah, just nonsense. And the next, it's stupid. The next clip is called Robin on Wiki's Future is a Bullshit Germaphobe.
You think Howard's ever going to get to the point where he's going to be comfortable leaving the house? I know right before the show went on break, there was a conversation about you going to the wedding and Beth having lunch with a friend, and Howard was not excited about that. Do you think he gets to the point where he's ready to step outside and be a little bit more social?
Yeah, when they're famous enough, he'll socialize. Ronnie's wedding, see ya.
yeah, for sure. If it has anything to do with helping celebrities get through the writer's strike, right on.
Right.
No, I don't think, like I said, unless there's more assurances and these waves of COVID become more like waves of the flu, where
They
you
are.
don't.
At this point, they kind of are, and then the truth is, I
No,
don't think
they are.
They're not even testing really much anymore.
They are like waves of the flu. They're actually more survivable than the flu at this point.
At this point, absolutely. And then she did this, and incidentally, guys, she recorded this probably in June. I'm going to say June or July, early July, and or the end of June sometime. That's why it seems a little bit anachronistic, this whole clip. But I didn't even know this existed. It didn't show up on Mark's Friggin. I asked James T about it. He's like, yeah, no, this showed up, but there was no coverage of it. So I thought it was good to go through. This last one is going to be called Robin's Lone Visitor.
Oh,
Do you still are you when you say you can control what you can control? So are you allowing visitors to at least come and see you, or are you still keeping?
I had one visitor so far.
One.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
am supposed to have some visitors around my birthday.
And what's the protocol for a visitor to be able to?
I
be
have no
allowed in the gate?
idea. I haven't really thought about it. It's far enough away that I'm not really. I didn't. The first visitor, I didn't say, I need you to get a test or anything like that. We just, had a visit.
Once you've decided you're going to go do it, you do it. That's essentially it. But the other thing is, that's sad. This one person in all this mansion or whatever it is, or I don't know, and then you've got a big boat you can't use, and then no one comes to see you. She's going to be like those Hollywood actresses that die with their cats eating their fucking flesh when they're gone, and no one knows they've died.
But listen to the inconsistency about how she in the beginning was talking about her health and loving kids and people and getting out there and traveling. And I want to live the life I did 10 years ago. That's what she said.
Yes.
But yet, look at how she's living her life and proud of it and defending the way she treated Gary about living his life. So she's completely nonsensical in her rationale.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
And the fuck?
I have no idea, guys. Guys, we're going to continue with the next breakdown. We hope you've enjoyed this one. And any closing thoughts, my dear, before we wrap this one up?
I'm blown away. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, guys, take care. We love you.
Oh, just real quick, I was also calling because I just wanted to say my tour starts on the 17th of June.
Thanks, Eric. All right, buddy.
Eric, what? I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I said the tour that I'm
Take care, man. Don't ever call back.